Oh,
we're
no.
here.
We suck
We're here for
again.
the carnage.
Bad luck, Bobby, in the building.
No, anybody
Looking
who was
dapper.
here, this would have been disaster. Whether John was here, Jimmy was here, or if any of us were on the court. That's the kind of defensive night it was. When I saw Teague in that right corner
Here we
on
go.
Trae Young, that's when I was like, all right, you might as well put me on the right corner,
Oh man,
set
Bobby
up
goes
against
straight to
Young
Teague in this one.
with Capella.
So let's put it this way. I'm normally anti-Teague talk because,
I know.
because he's inconsequential. But
it's
tonight
yeah.
Teague talk isn't Teague talk. Tonight Teague talk is Brad talk. Okay, and we understand. Look.
Oh, John talk Teague.
I talk Teague very well.
John talk Teague.
So you're gonna see this a lot on Twitter. Okay, the Celtics were without two guards and their best defensive center, which is why Trae Young and Clint Capella ate, and it was the game that it was. No doubt about it. Not an excuse. It's a reason. Yeah, it's hard. You're without three starters. It explains a lot. There are other things that are harder to explain, and Jeff Teague is one of them. It leads the way. Jeff Teague's existence, period. Starting no point guard, and then forcing Tatum and Brown to run the offense, and then playing Jeff Teague a lot in plays at times where not playing him would have made more sense. So those are the two perplexing things about tonight.
Yeah,
of course, especially since he seemed to bounce back and forth between things. Like he had Pritchard in there, he picked up the fifth foul. He had Teague in there a minute before, and then he went back to Teague after the fifth foul and kept them in there for a decent stretch where they lost 3 points, and they ended up down 7 there. If they still had those 3 points and stayed neutral there, you never know. Pritchard could have fouled out, but I didn't like getting away from that. There was 6 minutes left, and Pritchard was playing well. They had a good unit out there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. My wish tonight going in was that they gave Tremont Waters a little bit of the run just to mix him in, have him go in rhythm there. You don't throw him into the fourth, but I want him to start. And of course, they went with the 2 forwards.
We've seen that before. We saw the Tremont.
It worked
Waters.
okay against Sacramento.
Ugh, I don't know, Jimmy.
So I've probably been hanging on to the last Jeff Teague thread here for a couple of weeks now. And even talking to you guys during this game, I was still hanging on. And then, as I was trying to defend him, he turned it over, back-to-back offensive possessions. Then he missed a runner. So I think officially I don't know if I can be on the Jeff Teague, all-defense team anymore. I don't know why he was in the game. I don't know why Pritchard didn't start because it's like 2
That's
games
what
ago.
we were talking about before the game.
Yeah, last night. I'm losing track of my games here. We were so happy. We got early Pritchard, early Rob, early Nice. We're like, Brad's listening. He gets it. He's seen the light. And then it's like Javonte Green's starting and Semi's starting and Pritchard's coming off the bench and Rob's barely going to play again. And we're back to square one. You know what I mean? So I don't know what to think. I don't know why you don't just start Pritchard, put the point guard in the point guard position, and let Let Jaylen Brown. Why did I say Jeff Green? Because I was talking about Javonte.
Don't slip on that one.
Let Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum be those 2 guys. Don't ask them to do more than they already have to do. Yeah. And when you put in Javonte Green and Semi Ojeleye, it's like you're making them do 5 people's jobs out there. Am I right or am I right?
That's a fair point, but I think at the same time though, it's sort of what I was talking about last night with Pritchard getting really comfortable and being the anchor of that second unit. I like seeing him start off with that second unit. I think it's really important that he gets comfortable because this is the time when you start to Brad Stevens needs to start really ironing out rotations, and I know it's going to be continuing debate between now until pretty much the playoffs, but it's true. I don't mind that, but Jeff Teague in the fourth quarter. Did Jeff Teague earn those fourth quarter minutes? I mean, come on now. I don't get it. Yeah, sure.
But who else are you going to go to if it's not Waters?
If Payton Pritchard has 5, listen, Bobby. If Payton Pritchard has 5 fouls, you ride it till the wheels come off. This is the game where you're down by double digits. It's the fourth quarter. You're fighting back. Yeah. You can't put together 2 or 3 stops. And that guy Trae Young, the superstar scorer on the other end, you put Jeff Teague on him, or you put Jeff Teague anywhere near him. In the fourth quarter, that's just a bad move written all over it.
This was the first game I looked at Brad Stevens sideways a little bit I didn't understand the mixed
You and
bag
me
of
both.
rotations. Grant, Javante, Teague, Pritchard, the limited Rob stretch in the second half. It was all over the place. And then after all of that, they come out of a timeout, and you mentioned this on Twitter, John. They went Teague, Thompson, Brown,
Yeah.
Tatum, and Green, right? Or was it Ojale? Ojale, yeah.
Ojale.
I mean, it was just a perplexing lineup for crunch time when you're still in there. I know the bodies aren't there, but there were guys who were better than that. I mean, I thought Grant was better than Semi tonight, and I would have rode with Pritchard too. It's just like it changes every game. We've talked about this. You understand why injuries and inconsistency, but within the flow of a game, you're kind of cutting your wheels off trying to guess into the fourth quarter.
Well, certainly, I'm not calling Payton Pritchard the Trae Young stopper. But when you look at this roster and you look at the way Payton Pritchard plays, his style of basketball, and obviously he had 5 fouls, but Trae Young's getting hot, very hot down the stretch, starts to hit like 35-footers, 30-footers, and Pritchard's nowhere to be seen because he's riding the bench or wherever. Who's a better on-ball defender? Is it Pritchard or is it Teague or is it, whoever else you want to put out there? Pritchard's that guy that can at least make it that much more difficult for a guy like Trae Young to do his thing and to even take that shot. Because I guarantee you, Pritchard's giving him much less space than what he was being given once he was taken out of the game. So that is a serious issue. I just think Pritchard's got to be – I understand Josue's point. I want Pritchard solidifying that second unit too. But this is not a typical second unit right now. This is not a typical starting unit.
Can I be the apologist here? Just for a minute, just for perspective, okay? Because I agree. Like I agree with you, Jimmy. I'd ride Pritchard till the wheels came off there too. We knew yesterday. I mean, it's a back-to-back. We knew yesterday that Teague was going to play. You knew Kemba was going to sit, so you knew you had to find it. At the end of the day, he played 9 minutes, but he was there in crunch time. A lot of it due to foul problems. The problem is our issue with this team is the guys who see too many minutes. And on nights when you're missing 3 starters, it's literally impossible to not have a lot of guys out there on the floor in big spots when you don't want them out there.
Into the fourth,
The
though.
closing lineup had friggin' Javante Green in it. I mean, it's just not – it's not what was intended. So, again, I'm not making excuses. It's just no matter what was on the court late there, and again, Teague is the thing that's just going to get under everybody's skin the most. But no matter what they close that game with, you're going to be like, what is that guy doing out there? Because the whole roster tonight was filled with that guy.
What if it was Pritchard, Brown, Tatum, Grant, and Rob?
We can get into the Rob.
Who's Rob?
We can get into the Rob thing too. I am a little the Rob again. I know he had one.
They went to him late when it was too late.
He caught on a switch, and was it Gallinari who got that open 3 there? They go to a timeout, and Brad looks like he's all miffed about it. There was a couple lapses on the defensive end. Capella definitely, got the better of him sometimes out there too. But again, this was one of those nights where the positive and the negative were probably close to equal, I would say. If not maybe slightly ahead on the positive side. But he's still out there making plays. And again, he's still on the bench in crunch time.
Well, up there too. And when they went to him too late in that fourth, he did make that mistake of not kicking out on the offensive rebound.
Yes.
But like I said, at that point, it was already out of hand.
The mistake was Semi Ojeleye not taking a 3 and throwing a lob to Williams and putting him in a position where he had a difficult shot to make and could theoretically get fouled. And if he got fouled, that wasn't a great thing either. That whole possession wasn't great because they ate about 18 seconds to end up with 2 Rob free throws, which was not the ideal outcome there when you were down what you were down and you needed a quick bucket or a quick 3. Semi had the shot that you were supposed to take in that situation. So I'm putting that on him rather than Rob not kicking it out. At that point, he's pot committed.
Yeah. What do we say? I mean, the 5 guys you really loved in this one were the 4 I mentioned. And if you want to trade Neesmith for Grant, who was giving it his all in this one as well.
Yeah. I mean, he's a hot mess, but I mean, he tried.
Neesmith's effort, he's basically saying, he's basically showing me that he's doing everything he can to stay on the court. I mean, I have no issues with a rookie running around and, trying to do everything. Of course, he's going to make a couple mistakes here and there, but he, I think he had a couple of like play saving, whatever. I think it was an offensive rebound, a couple dives for the ball. Like, I'm fine with him. I mean, he's going to do rookie things. I'm okay with it.
A lot. I mean,
Yeah, he's like
throwing
all
his
over the
body
place.
everywhere. Holy, how many
clumsy,
times did he
maybe.
hit the deck?
I mean, whenever he does it, John, he gets some more minutes. So I mean,
I know, but he's gonna
he wants
die.
more minutes.
He's selling out on these chase down blocks and diving for stuff. And every time I look up, he literally just falls like straight down sideways onto the ground.
Yeah. And
Get
then you
about
can
4
hear
tonight,
a bunch of players screaming like, "Are you all right? You all right? You all right?" Like,
Yeah, like thud, with no fans in the stands, you just hear every piece of his body hit the hardwood.
21 minutes tonight.
Yeah,
for
I'm
him.
afraid to look in the chats right now.
Last
the only
3
thing-
games, 28, 24, and 21 minutes. Prior to that, I mean, we already know how many minutes he got.
He's like for the
2 and 0
effort that he puts in, he stands around. It's way too much on offense, and they do not pass him the ball. They do. I mean, Tatum.
They don't even look at him.
They don't even look at him. Tatum's dribbling at him, and it will turn around and give it like, or they will not. He goes minutes without touching the ball. It's amazing, and he does just kind of go and run and hide in the corner. Maybe that's the point. Maybe he's there only for space.
I think he has to get comfortable out there. Yeah.
But I'd love to see him run around some screens and get free a little bit there. It's just he just stands there and waits the whole time, and they never give him the ball.
Well, Brad talked about it. What was it last night? Actually, he said how he's getting comfortable. You can tell he's a bit more comfortable compared to what we saw. I don't know, like a month ago. But he still has to get comfortable to the NBA speed. So I think a lot of that is him getting, getting the sets down, running the plays and stuff like that. And I think they know that. So they're like, this guy is still getting comfortable out here, so let's not give him the ball right away. But they were giving it to him before. Before this game, it seemed like they were looking for him because it seemed like he was more active or at least ready to go. But it's a lot for him to take in. Like Jimmy said, he's playing over 20 minutes, 3 straight games for the first time in his NBA career.
Real quick, guys, before we move on, I just wanted to go back to Teague Stevens just a minute ago. A couple minutes ago in his press conference was talking about the Teague minutes. And he says, quote, part of that was the
Gary
matchup.
Washburn flipped out.
What's that?
Did Gary Washburn ask him a question and flip out?
Yeah. Part of that was the matchup. They were targeting Payton a little bit. I thought Jeff was as good as anyone we had guarding Trae Young in the pick and roll. Payton wouldn't have lasted long with those 5 fouls. Hard to argue that. I still ride him till you die there, Yeah,
I mean, it got away from them. So, I mean.
It didn't feel like it spilled over big time until T got out there, though. And maybe Young turned it up at a moment where anyone in front of him would have been blasted off the court. So you never know.
Yeah.
But it wasn't so much the defense. I mean, Teague turned it over twice and then missed like a little bunny. I mean, he killed 3 straight possessions.
The strategy there was off. They weren't following Capella at first. They went 2 possessions where they did it. They stopped on the third because he botched the layup inside. He had to travel a few plays before that. So once 3 offensive sets went wrong, you're right. They got the stops they needed on defense. The Capella thing worked for 2 or 4 at the line. And then they just stalled themselves out on the offensive end. And guys, this offense, they're down to coming in at 16th in points per, in offensive rating and 22nd in points per game. This offense has fallen off a cliff in the recent weeks.
Let me say this. I know you just transitioned to offense for a second, but it's pretty freaking low, lowest of low when you start doing hack a Capella. I mean, hack a Shaq. Shaq was the most dominant big man in the history of the NBA. Dwight Howard. I get it. Those guys.
Point, Jimmy. The
point is you can't stop Clint Capella.
No, the point is math. It's not that. The point is math.
John, if they had people capable of playing defense in the paint.
That's not it. It's just a math equation. You need the ball back faster, so you foul early in the shot clock so you can get possessions back. It's a worthy trade-off. That's one of the reasons to do
but
it.
That was part of it.
They were down 10 with 2, and they thought, okay, let's shorten it. We need more. We need the ball more. So we'll live with Capella free throws early in the clock rather than have them run 24 seconds.
But even before that,
it's
fine. Even before that, he was having his way, as was the other bigs down low. I mean, their points in the paint tonight were absurd.
John Collins.
Bobby's boy.
We haven't even talked about him. Yeah,
he came out with fire in that first quarter.
I think they're going to get him in the backcourt. A jump ball in the backcourt.
John Collins is nice.
Called the foul.
He's nice. I mean,
I thought they got him with the jump ball in the backcourt, but they called the foul. I don't think they were trying to foul there.
Yeah, that was a little.
It was close, right? It was about almost 3 seconds. They were both holding that ball, but
that was a close one.
Because you know how the Celtics are on jump balls in those situations. I would have said, "Oh man, this game's not over here." You know,
I'm not sweating anything that happened late. The Rob free throws kind of killed it.
That sucked.
I thought the Teague stretch. I don't want to go back to it, but you lost 3 points during that Teague stretch, so it would have been 4. But for most of that final sequence, it was 7 because of the points they dropped there. I don't know. This whole game was kind of a mess after the first quarter. It's too bad because they were decent offensively in the first.
Who's the last player like Teague to upset people this much? Like, who's the last person? Who's the last Celtic that every time he goes on the court draws the ire of the fans?
Ennis Cantor.
Oh, you're saying a signing, or are you saying
Ennis Cantor? Only you and the other basketball brains who couldn't deal with Ennis Cantor doing good things.
No, but seriously, who else of the entire all fans freaking out at once every time he steps on the court? I as much as Teague.
Mark Blount.
No,
Jason Terry, man. The Jet, that was like cool for about a month. Everyone was pissed.
Ainge had a few of those signings, like veterans coming in, low money that just have faded into the sunset.
He tatted the logo next to the championship trophy on his body. the championship trophy that he tatted on his arm for the Mavericks.
Shaq.
RJ Hunter. No,
people didn't
Shaq barely played.
Wanamaker was a valuable bench.
Shemmy was close. People got really mad last year when Shemmy would get out there.
Yeah.
Jared Wallace was okay the first month or two. He's just broken.
I'm just picking an obscure year somewhat recently.
Scalabrini.
all time, John? All time? Purvis Ellison. It's not even close.
Out of service, Purvis.
It's not even close.
That's
my
a
dad
nickname.
would get so.
It's one of my favorite alt nicknames.
Purvis Ellison.
Out of service, Purvis.
It's like the ultimate switcheroo.
So what is I'm going to defer to John and Jimmy here because they've had the ideas the last few games that have worked. Do you just start Rob and Pritchard at this point because they're playing the best?
I don't know why you wouldn't. We're overthinking it. Start your best players.
Start the guys. I tweeted this jokingly again tonight about, it's so annoying every time Rob comes in, he makes instant impact plays. Like he's in for 2 seconds and it's dunk, challenge shot, another dunk, hustle play,
right?
Pass inside. And again, this is where we come back to it is he makes it's not just negating negative plays with positive plays. He makes positive plays that I think very few other people could make on this team in his position.
Vertical spacing.
All of it. It's just, and he does it all the time, and it still just goes, I wouldn't say unrewarded. I think everyone freaks out every time he's late on a switch or does something, and they're like, that's why he's not playing. It's like they completely forget or discount all of the positive things. And it's math. Like Jason Tatum had, as good as he was tonight, had a stretch where he just friggin' turned the ball over like 4 straight possessions, it felt like, just dribbling into traffic. Like, you live with that. You make plays, and sometimes you don't make plays. Like, it happens.
I don't know if it's just Celtics fans or if it's the position, but it seems like with big men, their mistakes are magnetized like 10x. Like Ennis Cantor is a prime example. Like every time Ennis Cantor was on the court for the Celtics last year, he did one little thing he would do wrong, and that was it. That was the end of it.
Yeah.
It was all you heard about on the Twitter sphere or wherever. That this one rotation that he missed, or the pick and roll defense, all that stuff. So
Rob's
it's similar to Rob now. It's like you can't take the good outweighs the bad. You have to play him. The energy he gives you. If you start the game with Pritchard and Rob today, this game could go completely different. Completely different. It could have gone. Who knows?
We'll never know. And I saw at least one person tweet this or a sentiment like it after Rob Williams made a not great play on the defensive end or got lost a little bit on a switch. And somebody tweets or a couple people are like, "That's why he doesn't play more." And I'm like, "Do you really believe this? Like, he just had done 4 or 5 super positive things, and you think that one mistake is a hangable offense, and that's why he's not playing?
Right. What do you think's more likely?
Brad thing, because Brad is quick on the trigger when you have those defensive lapses. That's like the one thing he can't abide by. But again, it's that, as you said, Jim, the positive negative thing. Like you have to look at both.
I wonder if it's the veteran hierarchy thing that we've assumed Stevens has had here in the past based on other rotations we've seen, or if it's legitimate things that he's seeing. I think it's something between those two because I'm not sure if he's going to bench Kemba ultimately for Pritchard or Thompson.
He's not, but this was the perfect time to play Pritchard.
Today was, today was.
That's what I mean.
All the time. I think he just wanted to see it tonight.
Exactly. Yeah. This is a perfect opportunity to
Pritchard
start
especially.
Pritchard. Like,
but did he
why wouldn't you?
That's what we said, though. I mean, is it because the last time we were all okay?
He didn't play well the last time he started.
Right. He'd been reluctant to start him in a couple of other opportunities where he could have, where Kemba sat on back-to-backs, and then he finally does. Which game was it?
I don't remember.
Which one?
Oh, Detroit.
Detroit?
Yep, on Friday.
Okay, so he does that, and it didn't go well. Pritchard definitely didn't play his best game there after having a terrific game the night before. Is this why he didn't start him again? Bobby, you mentioned rotations, but I think your rotations are grossly out of whack when you're missing 3 starters. You're really just trying to survive here. So, again, we might overdo the whole starter thing, and you're right. If you have Pritchard and Rob there, what's the bench going to be? Are you going to bring I get it, I guess, but to not have a true point guard out there and somebody who could actually run your offense just didn't seem like a smart.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
It's conventional thinking, it's matchups, but it's not working. Like, you understand why they do those things, but it's not working.
To run this lineup out there was very unconventional.
Like, so here's the thing. I mean, Pritchard.
That starting lineup. That's very unconventional.
Lineup. I mean, you're playing one of the most electric point guards in the NBA, a guy that can get hot as fast as anybody and can score from all over. All you had to say to Pritchard was, hey, we don't need you to score tonight. We need you to play as the peskiest, craftiest, lockdowniest defense you can. And we know that you can because we've seen you be that pest out there and play, this guy, Pritchard would have played full court defense for the entire time out there in the court. Maybe get Young frustrated, maybe get him off his game a little bit. Instead, you go no point guard. I guess. I don't know why.
Didn't it seem
like the matchup for Pritchard to just give him a chance? Hey, just play defense. Don't worry about the offense tonight. Just follow Young around.
Didn't it seem like Pritchard did a good job with that matchup too? Like a decent job.
As good as you're going to do.
Exactly.
And Young was getting ridiculous calls too. A couple of them on Jalen, who still hasn't touched him all game and got called for a couple of fouls. But what are you going to do there? That's a tough matchup for whoever you put on there. If Kemba was playing tonight, he might have gotten eaten alive and had 5 fouls in 18 minutes.
Celtics had 25 fouls.
But a couple of them were ticky-tack. But
they were.
This was a tough one.
Yeah, but what about what do you guys think of how Jason Tatum played? Because I thought Tatum was going to be the point forward. I thought that was the whole point of this starting 5, right? I mean, last night we saw him dish out 8 assists. It just seemed like at some points of the game he wanted to get a little, start taking his hero shots and try to take control of the offense and take matters into his own hands. And I felt like he just started forgetting how to dribble in that fourth quarter. There was back-to-back.
He was forcing.
Yeah, he was forcing. It was like
easy early.
Dribbling through double teams, losing the ball on his own, like that kind of Tatum. It just spells bad news in that stretch of the game where you can't see the Celtics put together defensive stops because Trae Young's going off.
Yeah, I think because he had so much success early, Josue, where everything was flowing, he had that kind of killer vibe going where he was finding his looks.
Great too until the fourth quarter,
And then he started to force it. They were doing a good job kind of trapping and pushing him out there a little bit and forcing him, just outside there where he had a difficult time getting to his spots.
Capella's the real deal. I remember we talked about him a few years ago.
I just think that's a facet of his game that Brad really wants to shed light on and expand on, because I think he sees how the offense opens up when he's dishing like that and when he's at a high rate and when he's not turning the ball over and he's sharp and efficient and not just necessarily from the standpoint of shooting, but just for taking care of the ball and putting together offensive possessions, even if he's not the one scoring at the end of it.
I know.
I think that's a lot of emphasis that Brad Stevens is putting on him. And he just didn't have it tonight, at least from that aspect, right?
I mean, here's the thing, though.
That he had that going, but everything else was sort of, I don't know. I didn't see the same Tatum I saw last night.
But I thought he was the problem. I think with Tatum, where he's hurt a little bit, was with Jalen being so bad, it forced the issue for him even a little bit more. because they couldn't share the load there at all. So I think Jalen getting off to that. I mean, he started 3 for 16. Just was a mess. Was a mess tonight. And
Shot was off.
Yeah, Jalen actually recovered all right. Ended up with an okay line. But he was terrible all game. I thought Tatum had a good game.
I just think this is a conversation we're going to revisit a lot from now to the end of the season, into the playoffs, because the longer we get into the season, deeper into the season we do, Kemba's not that guy, right? He's not that point guard. He's the guy they're going to want to work him off the ball, right? So I just think Tatum has a lot to do with that. And
yeah, we're seeing that already.
That Brad's already pushing for.
Yeah,
you're one game ahead of being in the playoffs right now. There's 4 teams that are 1 game behind you. It's early in the season, but let's not jump the gun on the playoffs yet. Let's just not jump the gun. Behind. Atlanta's 12-16. You're 14-14, and Atlanta's in the 9th seed. So watch out, folks. It could get very interesting.
Does 500 make the playoffs? Because that's where this is on pace for.
You better hope it does.
Yeah, and we do have to keep that perspective of Kemba, Tice, Smart. That's 3 starters here. It just doesn't look right.
It's no joke.
It doesn't look right, though. Whether it's the role guy activity, the rotations we talked about, the defense. And if we're sticking on Tatum for one more second, the defense isn't there. Like, he's doing what he can offensively. He's saving the game with buckets, with the occasional playmaking. His teammates miss some shots. But the defense isn't there. You see all the metrics, they're down. You don't see the help side blocks, the activity. Young dribbled him out of his shoes on one play in this game on a step back. His defensive impact has been neutral this year. And that's a team thing, but it's also on him too.
But I don't want to play full devil's advocate here. Can you blame him? You know, he's out there, he's playing, he's asked to carry the load a ton. The schedule's brutal. I know he missed the time with the COVID, but at the end of the day, like, you kind of want. Yeah, I think he and Jalen, to a large part, are a little bit more in conservation mode, and that's why you're seeing some on Tatum's side. You know, maybe not that night in, night out effort on the defensive end, which is I'm asked to do so much out here. I may pick some spots from time to time, and I see him doing that. You don't love it. You want to see all that effort all the time, but I mean, I guess I get it. I don't think he's the only player in the league and star player in the league to do that.
No question, John. And I think Brad Stevens is keeping a close eye on that. Like, if you're Brad, you have to pick up on these habits, right? You have to know how your superstar works, what makes them tick. When is he going to decide, okay, I just don't have this, or where are his limits, And I think that's what he's doing here, pushing him to it. What is it, another 35 minute on
a back-to-back.
Yeah, 35 back-to-back, right? I thought it was less than 35, but yeah, he hit 35 tonight. So it's good. I mean, look, throw these hurdles down.
Some people are saying
home
some
games
stuff out here.
Home game back-to-back. I mean, it's really not that
serious. That's a surprise for John.
In the comments, don't do it.
Don't look at him.
I guess you have to.
I'm resisting today. We can't keep riding this wave, okay? Where they save themselves, and they play a good game against Denver, and then it all falls apart again here.
Well, what's the bigger picture here? 16-21.
They'll blow them up.
They're going to blow them up?
I think we went into this game knowing they're going to split these, and this is the loss. They'll get the win for the next one on the other end.
Well,
were you not confident, Jimmy?
Like your confidence. I mean, there's no reason to be confident in this team right now. So, I mean, I'm not going to make that statement. I hope that they play better. I hope that they put the effort in from start to finish. But, I mean, are they going to magically be able to suddenly defend some of these bigs? And not only that, but the perimeter defense tonight I thought was pretty weak too. I mean, they were getting Bucks. The Hawks were going inside to outside fairly easily. So
yeah, they had a ton of their buckets in early, points in the paint. We were joking there, but like in that first stretch there, I mean, just layup after layup after layup. They just got whatever they wanted there. It was just, another crap defensive effort.
Yeah. So.
Oh, it's hockey time here.
Bobby, they're coming for you? They're changing it over?
Yeah. The people want to see it, right?
Show the
TD
people.
employees are like, look at this dude over here.
Let's check out the old bull gang.
Standing up, laptop going. What you got for us?
Oh.
Yep. Have a seat.
Okay. Could
There it
kind of
is.
see it there.
Yep. Bobby's at the Garden. He's got some stuff to do. So, Bobby, like I said, you can always bolt a little bit if you want. We're on a back-to-back here. I don't know how much we're going to trash these guys, and we're not going to whip through every single possible TPE trade scenario again tonight.
Well, you want to hit on Collins real quick? That did look like a guy who could make a difference here, possibly energy-wise, especially.
Who, Collins?
Yeah.
Again, the issue with Collins isn't his talent and his ability. The issue with Collins is, are you bringing him in here and then paying him?
Why not?
You know?
If it's not Vucevic, I think you go after a guy.
Assets, and then you have to pay him a ton of money.
Oh, you love the assets, John, don't you?
I'm saying you're giving away everything you've got, and then you're signing him potentially to a Jaylen Brown max level deal, and that's it. That's your team.
Right. So
what else are you gonna do?
That's your team for the foreseeable future.
To a degree, I at least posed the question yesterday: is it better than not doing it? That's a hard one to answer. But Jimmy, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that's not only your team for. You're not saying that's your team for this year. I mean, you've pretty much sold your soul for this team for the next few years. So you better hope that Collins is good enough to put you as a title contender, because you're not going to have any assets to make any other trades.
What do you think of him tonight?
What I said last night is that a championship team? Is that 100% going to win a championship? You know, if it is, then you do it. If you're not quite sure,
I mean, 100%, hell no, not 100%, no chance. I mean, it makes you competitive, but again, I'm not going to sit here and act like I know a ton about John Collins. I know that he's a big man who can stretch the floor and shoot and rebound. He played well tonight. I wasn't blown away by him by any stretch of imagination. I like him. I think he's nice, but I'm not as worried about the money. You have to do everything you can to get this guy. I'm not like there.
I'm not as worried about the money as some people, because this is your last chance to sign a max contract player. Circle this out at 4. We were all going to bring Hayward back, so we were willing to sign 4 guys to a max deal at once. So now it's going to be somebody else, and Collins isn't Hayward, but he's young.
But pretend it was Horford. Pretend it was Collins instead of Horford. You know, theoretically.
Yeah.
Meaning, like, let's say you re-signed Horford last year, or when you had the option to, and he's on the books for what you have now. Would you theoretically prefer a Collins to a Horford? You know, like
right now,
of course. So that's what I'm saying is it's not the worst use of money. It just is. You are what you are there. You know.
But it's the assets aspect too. So is Pritchard and Rob, are those 2 guys gone? And then are you giving away like 2 picks? Like, so it's a little bit more than the money. If it's just about the money, then sure, of course. I mean, Thompson's going to get paid. Someone's going to pay him, and I mean, he's better than anyone you already have. Yeah. So I get that.
He is, so people know here, he is restricted. It's not half a season. He's restricted, which means you
can keep him.
You can keep him if you want him. It's just whether you want him. You just got to pay him. That's the key. And maybe it's not. Maybe he's overstating. I don't know if you get somebody else with an offer. I don't know. I don't know if you necessarily have to go the full Jaylen on him, because that would mean someone else would have to do it. But
I think you have to be prepared to, right? Because otherwise, be a colossal whiff.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to lose them. Yeah, I just like it because you got to go big with this thing. And this wouldn't even be the TP. You could still make marginal changes while adding a big-time player in him. This would effectively be the Cantor TP that brings Collins in. So I don't know what necessarily the trade would be. We'll hash that out down the line and keep talking about it in a Friday when these teams play again. Like $5 million, $6 million.
It is interesting when you think about the double.
You don't even touch the TP.
It is interesting when you think about the double dip there.
Yeah, a couple bench guys and then a star player in Collins. That's getting you multiple pieces that you need.
Yeah, or if you just say see you later to the luxury tax and go use the TPE for Vucevic and use the Cantor exception for Collins and say, all right, that's our team. Again, it'd be nice if you had players who weren't Nesmith and Romeo.
Well, the other thing was this: you have to hope that there's. You have to hope there's not a lot of competition for him, because
there will be.
Can't imagine you could put together the best package if the Hawks are dead set on getting rid of him, which it sounds like they probably aren't going to re-sign him, right? So it sounds like they're going to probably want to trade him.
Now that's
So-
where Vucevic is more preferable as someone with a big salary because you're one of the few teams that can absorb it. It's easy for any team in the league to match Collins' money.
Of course.
Right, and they've got better assets.
Are you in
tradable
on him,
assets.
Josue? What were your thoughts on him tonight?
And
That's what I'm trying to get
It
to.
only makes sense to get blown away if you're Atlanta for something, because otherwise, what do you say? Otherwise, just let him walk for $5 million. It's not a big deal there, right?
You don't want to lose him for nothing.
Control your destiny to some extent. You can obviously re-sign him if you want to re-sign him. I think you need something real in return. But Josue, what were you gonna say?
No, I was just Bob was just asking me what I thought about him overall. Yeah, he looked good today. I mean, obviously he presented problems for the Celtics. I just don't know if you're giving up like John said, like that could be it, you know. And I'm not sure the Celtics have enough for it. I mean, obviously if you're not touching the TPE, if you're not giving up a combination of Pritchard, Rob Williams, or 2 out of the 4, you know, that young core or that young group. Is that enough to get it done? I mean, sure. If that's enough, you know, I just worry that something's going to have buyer's remorse in a couple of years, you know, or a year.
I am too. So that's why you do it now.
Oh, it's impossible for Josue to make it through a show. He just falls off.
Every time he gets passionate, he gets booted.
Damn it.
You should at least swear on your way out.
No, before
we got a taco question.
You've never had a clean slate. You don't have one.
It's been an hour. It must be an hour. It's like that's the cutoff, man.
My lighting's looking better here. The sun's
You
coming
pay
down.
for your Wi-Fi hourly? Did you have to put more coins in it?
I think it's a day. The daytime is flawless.
The meter ran out.
He puts coins in his router.
me and Kendrick Perkins. All right, we got the same setup.
Hey, he's my last point before I get out of here, guys. He's active. Yep. He moves. He's physical. He's something that will get this moving a little bit and have some upward trajectory. Be here long term and be a piece that moves the needle. Like I wanted to do something big with the flexibility that they have right now. And all this talk of JJ Redick and Thad Young and just these band-aids that aren't going to change too much.
I'm going to kill myself if that happens.
Oh, it'd be a disaster, and it wouldn't change anything.
Well, it's exactly.
It'll change nothing.
That's a different type of acquirement if you go that route, because you're getting a young guy who you expect to be on the team for years to come through the prime of his career, right? So that's different than bringing in like a veteran, you know, almost a freaking buyout type candidate guy.
Yeah, that's the whole idea. You let all these long-term pieces go, so now you need to fill them up with long-term pieces, not one-year rentals or Band-Aids or things to help out and cover this up a little bit. Now, I don't think they need a ton of changes to get this going in the right direction, but they need some, and I want those changes to be long-term moves rather than something to go all in on this year, because we're still not seeing, regardless of what we think of the role players here and the impact they're having on it, we're not seeing the starlet players on this team make statements that they're ready to push this to a championship level either. You know, you got to add pieces around them that are going to help this grow into the years to come. And this year's weird anyway. Who knows what could happen into the stretch run here? Like, there's got to be some level of sustainability to the moves they make this year.
We shall see. We'll see. Bobby, if you need to get going, you can go. We'll put a bow on it.
Yeah.
Bobby Manning.
Bobby, anything that we couldn't see on TV tonight that you noticed, or anything that stood out to you being in the Garden tonight?
Brad.
There's no fans at all. It's weird.
I noticed more defensive communication from the Hawks. They were loud. That you could hear them up here. And I know you've been to a couple games just way. You hear the Celtics a little bit, but not a ton.
Yeah.
That's all I talk really. And you know, Danny,
how loud the Knicks were. Jeez, they were so pumped up. It was like the greatest.
Is Danny at every game, Josue?
Danny?
Yeah.
I didn't see him last game. I've seen him I only seen him at one game. Well, I've been to 3, so
he was here tonight, and so was Mike Zarin.
Was he on the court side?
And they're scouting Collins?
Yeah, they wanted a good look.
That's where you're taking this?
Maybe. I don't know. They were there for something.
I've seen him there once, so I don't know.
Zarin usually sits in the balcony, so I mean he might be at all the games just sitting in the balcony. We haven't seen him.
He was courtside.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you on Friday, guys.
All right.
Nice talking to you.
That is true about Zarin, though.
Bobby's going to go report from the Garden. Thanks, Bobby. Check in if you need anything after. We'll wrap it up here. I got nothing else to say on this game. Doesn't mean I'm ending it right now, but
Bobby looked like he had like a fade feature. He faded out of there. That was cool. Yeah. You guys see that?
Fading into oblivion.
Yeah. Bobby was
like
all
the
drunk up
Celtics
wearing a jacket.
Just
Nobody's
like
talking about it.
Dude, I wanted to
say
slide
he's
that in
looking
there.
dapper.
Bobby's looking good for absolutely nobody in the Garden.
All grown up.
Dude, I used to get all dolled up, walked around the court like pregame, had no reason to be on the court, but I just wanted to just just put out the vibes. But I don't know if I'm ever gonna be able to do that. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do that.
Only time I ever do that, the only time I ever got dressed up for games was Super Bowl. Super Bowl, you gotta wear Super Bowl, you gotta wear the suit.
I do the no, Jimmy. We did what was it?
I did the suit.
Right?
But yeah, you gotta do the full suit at the Super Bowl. But
dude, playoffs, I used to go all out, dude. Full suit, like walking around like
NBA Finals. I did too. Yeah.
I used to just sit on the bench and just try to strike up some conversations with some of the national media guys. You're like, who the hell are you, kid? Get out of my face. Like, whatever, dude. Whose kid? They were like, whose son is this? Like,
hey, family over there, bro.
Yeah.
Who's this?
Are you lost?
Yeah.
You lost, little boy?
Yeah, seriously. Run along now.
Wait, when did you start at NBC? Or CSN or whatever it was back then?
I still call it CSN.
8 years ago, probably.
What year was it?
2011, maybe.
11. So it was after the second finals.
It was
I was working during the Bruins Stanley Cup run. I was
11.
there. Yeah, I was there for that.
Yeah,
I was working the night shift on the desk.
I think I wore a suit for that too.
Yeah, with the cup. I mean, the thing about hockey guys are always wearing suits. It doesn't matter what day it is.
No, they're great.
They're all like 60 years or older, and they're all wearing suits. And I don't know what half of them do. They just work for the NHL. I mean, they just work for the NHL.
Just don't step on the
field. When there's a doubleheader. Yeah. You ever see when there's a doubleheader? You just see the difference of like NBA beat writers and hockey beat writers. Like completely.
Yeah.
Even the food is different.
The cup felt classy.
Oh, the cup! Yeah. They do it right. They do it right for the cup. Even
actually, believe it or not, was my favorite thing I covered.
I can see that
in person. It was the whole the arc of the series too. It was great. That
was one of my as far as like championship series goes, that was unbelievable.
Awesome. So fun.
That was so much hatred.
Yeah.
Yeah, back and forth, the cities, like the teams, boroughs, like
the 2-1-1, 2-2-1-1-1 going East Coast, West Coast, Boston to Vancouver. No joke. I would leave the Garden. I would leave the Garden Tuesday night and just overnight it to Vancouver, and the next time I would go to bed would be Thursday night. You would miss entire days.
Completely dead. Yeah. No idea what time it is.
That was great. And I do, and I still hate the Canucks.
But yeah, as soon as that's the cool thing about once you get to either the NBA Finals or the Stanley Cup Finals, like the league takes it over. So they really like pimp it out. You can tell when it goes from teams to the league, they come in and it's like completely different arena.
Yeah. Check it out.
Block party.
Too. There's like ice sculptures.
Ice sculptures. Yeah, the Celtics. Same thing with the NBA takes over in the Eastern Conference Finals. The conference finals.
Yeah, the food is like elite. You're sitting there with like Kobe beef steak. I'm like, right. I miss the first quarter. I'm just eating like 4 meals.
I miss being pampered. We used to go to finals every year. So many finals.
Dude, I was just out of college. I would go to the Garden just to like get a full meal, and I'd be like eating for 3 days worth because I'm going back to my like basement apartment, like
I miss it. All right, any thoughts before we wrap it, guys? Because we're already in a silly season. I'm not talking about pickles. Jimmy's talking about elite steak.
Yeah, I mean, courtesy of the NBA. I mean,
that was good.
Anyways.
But here we are, same two teams again. You got to figure it's going to be a bounce back. You get your full roster. They'll go out there and we'll win by 27 points, and it'll be like, oh, everything's great again.
Well, that's kind of my final thought. Is I feel like we're on this like seesaw now, where it's like they played well against the Nuggets, so like we're like, oh, maybe they're not so bad after, and I'm sure Bobby's like rah rah sis kumbah, and then tonight it's like, well, we suck again and all this shit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I feel like we're on this like seesaw of we don't know what to expect, and then we overreact one way, and then we overreact the other way. So and when the dust settles, they're 500, which is so
Have I not been
because
just gonna say that? Like, Jimmy, you know what that sounds like? That's a 500 team. That's what that sounds like. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's why you're right, Josue. Boston fans don't know what to do with that. You got to be all the way one thing or the other. The most frustrating thing is mediocrity because you can't get there's no answers. You just sometimes
what the future's going to hold. Who are you? Are you this mediocre team, or are you on the verge of becoming a great team? Which one is it?
But you know, when you're this type of 500, that's a bad 500 to be, because that tells me that the effort is very inconsistent because they're losing games. This is not a 500 team, right? Roster-wise, talent-wise. I know they've had some injuries and whatnot, but when you're a struggling team like the Hawks, for example, I mean, you're happy with 500. You're outperforming what your expectations were. But when you're a team that people, you know, you're coming off Eastern Conference Finals and, you know, you're just stumbling around here right now. Stumbling almost as much as my words right now.
No, but I guess this is what's frustrating here, and I'm leaving this comment up here. This is what's annoying is you've lost now. Yeah. Your last 3 losses are to the Hawks, the Wizards, and the Pistons, okay? But you beat the Raptors and the Nuggets, okay? Before that, you lose to the Jazz and the Suns. That's fine. You beat the Clippers. You lost to the Kings, you know?
Right.
This is all like the last 2 weeks. It's not even like all season long.
That's just the last stretch. That's what's the most maddening about this particular stretch is it's not just Jekyll and Hyde stuff. It would actually be, I'll tell you this, it would actually be more depressing if they lost to every good team and only beat bad teams, because that wouldn't be inconsistent. That would be who you are.
That would just be like, yeah, you're a bad team.
That just means you're not good enough. But when you beat the good teams, it tells you that it's in your bag. You've got it. And then when you go out there, that's when you get mad, and it's Brad's fault, and it's effort, and it's energy, and it's all of these things, because there have to be reasons why you can beat a good team one night and lose to a crap team the other night. And it seems like they're fixable, or they're internal, or they're, like I said, effort, coaching, decision-making, something as opposed to just physically that other team's just better at basketball than you are.
Yeah, well, people start talking about effort and seeing that inconsistency. That's when you start being labeled like that, because this was the part of the regular season that was supposed to be the quote unquote easy stretch, right? So Celtics, for them to drop games against these teams, you know, it puts you in a space where you're thinking, well, wait a minute, we're 1/3 into the season here. You know, we're supposed to be past losing against these kind of teams. You already demonstrated you can top the Clippers. You demonstrated you can top other teams out there, top teams in the East. You know, what we saw against, you know, Philadelphia or Toronto. Like, that's the sort of effort where you're starting to thinking that this team's going to turn a corner, and then you're dropping the ball against these type of teams when this is the easy stretch, quote unquote, and then comes the harder stretch. This comes up next week, and we're still not sure which team this is or what their identity is.
Yeah. Interesting twist on this one. Maybe teams are having a tough time getting up for Boston, which is a bad team.
Yeah, right. Yikes.
You know, Toronto has nightmares.
In Toronto, they have a show right now, and they're like, we lost to the crap Celtics.
Could be worse. We could have the Celtics future. That's like what we were saying about the Raptors earlier in this season. And they've made, you know, a pretty impressive they've sort of righted the ship in some ways to at least be in the playoff hunt again. So, Raptors media. Yeah.
Raptors.
Bobby would jump all over that.
Oh my God. He applies every time. I'm like, Bobby, Raptors media is not a real thing. And he's like, sent him another resume.
Yeah.
Insider.
Yeah. All right. So that's it. Same 2 teams. We're not sure if we'll have the full roster or not, but we will do our best. We'll have some collection of characters back here on Friday to do it again. Thanks again for watching, guys.
Do we have a sponsor tonight?
Josue Pavone, Jimmy Toscano. Let's see. Do we have one tonight?
Paying bills tonight?
What happened to our
No, we're good tonight.
Oh, okay. No free ads.
So that's it. That's all we got.
That's all we got. We'll see everybody on Friday night.
Subscribe. Tell your friends.
Tell a friend.
Back on Friday, then again on Sunday, right?
That's
Sunday,
right.
3:30.
Yeah, it's a tough stretch. Was it 7 and 10 days? I think starting from 7 games in 10 days, starting from last game. 2 games to go.
It's tough.
I'm tired.
I don't see myself at Sunday's post-game show. I don't see it. I mean, things could change, but I just
Feels like a
don't
Nick.
see it.
That feels,
Feels
like
a Nick day.
feels like a week and a half from now.
Boomer day.
Boomer day.
We might just have
Boomer
Nick
day.
solo.
That'd be
We
a
should do
show.
Nick solo.
We got to pick games we
So
think we're
Nick
going to lose
today.
for Nick. Nick's
Yeah.
useless. Nick's useless in a win.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Funny
Yeah.
thing about Nick is he used to be the most like optimistic Celtics fan I feel like going, but now he's jaded.
Yeah.
He's lost it.
Because
His team will do it to you. So it's
Yeah.
Pelican. Oh, Pelicans on Sunday. That's actually kind of a fun one.
Oh, that is fun.
Look
All right,
at Jimmy just picking the games here. He's like, well, wait a minute now.
Jimmy
All right.
got a date. Yeah, I wish, man. I wish. No date. No date. Not
We're
yet.
gonna go
Leave it
Nick
in there up to you
solo
guys.
for 30 straight minutes.
Oh God, that's
Thank
not
you
good for
guys
his
for saying
health,
this,
our health.
by the way.
anybody's
I
health.
appreciate it. We appreciate it.
We do.
Yeah. All of that
All right,
stuff.
fellas.
Boom out.
Boom out.